everyone, this is Samya and welcome to my YouTube channel. So in this video, I'm going to talk about a most common problem, the problem of mind getting stuck while speaking in English. So you want to speak in English, but the moment you start, you get stuck. And once you get stuck during the conversation or while talking to somebody, definitely you are going to be embarrassed and frustrated because you had something in your mind to speak. But once you started speaking, you are not getting the right words which can express what you were about to say. And I know that how irritating and frustrating it is to get stuck while speaking in English in front of somebody, because I also used to go through the same path. Although I never talked in front of anybody, I was practicing everything just by myself, but I used to get stuck. So it was such a big issue for me. But there's one thing I realized over time, that it does happen with everybody. I mean, you think that you are alone here, but no, it's not true. Every language learner go through this, and not only with English, but no matter which language you learn, you will have to go through the same path in the beginning. I did talk to a lot of people from south part of India, and to those people whose mother tongue was not Hindi, and most of them told me one thing, that the moment they start speaking in Hindi or in any other language, they also get stuck. Their mind go blank completely while speaking in that particular language. So what I'm trying to say here is, if you have to become fluent in any language, but if you do not get the exposure of that language as much as it needed to become fluent in that language, the problem of getting stuck while speaking that language would definitely arise. If you're trying to learn English and are getting stuck while speaking in this language, it's not an issue. It's just that you do not have that much exposure of this language. Similarly, if any foreigner would try to learn Hindi, they would also struggle with the same thing. Their mind would also go blank while speaking in Hindi, because they do not have exposure of Hindi language. So what I'm trying to say here is, English is not a difficult language. It's just that we don't have people who speak English that much, or we are not surrounded with the people who can help us to speak English fluently. Now you may say that if I don't have environment and exposure of English, then I am going to build environment for myself. So now you started memorizing a lot of new words and you started expanding your vocabulary. But what happens? Despite having known so many words, still you are not able to express what you wanted to. So now you may say that if I have enough ingredients, then why can't I cook? And by saying this, I mean, if I know a lot of vocabulary and if I have a list of things which I can speak, then why can't I speak English fluently? So let me give you an example. You have so many vocabulary in your mind which you learned by reading or listening somewhere, so you recognize what they mean. However, when you want to speak, you can't use them. So all of them have in your mind, but the moment you start using them, the moment you start articulating those vocabulary, you are not able to do it, because all of them are passive vocabulary but not an active vocabulary. Now you may be thinking, what are these passive and active vocabulary? So active vocabulary are something which you can use whenever you want while speaking or writing. But passive vocabulary are something which you can't use while speaking or writing, because they do not come to your mind easily. All of them have in your mind, but whenever you want to use them, they do not come to your mind easily. So whenever you hear them, you can recognize and you know what they mean. But the problem is, you can't speak and you can't articulate them whenever you want. And most of us is stuck here, because most of us who start learning English, in the beginning we focus too much on memorizing new words. But it's not about how many new words you can memorize each day, but it's all about how many of them you can use during the conversation, or how many of them you can articulate whenever you want to speak, and whether they are passive vocabulary or active vocabulary. So if I would talk about me, I also focus too much on vocabulary. I was literally writing down every single words which I heard for the first time. But the question is, do I use them? Not at all. out of 500 vocabulary, I hardly use 50 to 80 of them. So what I'm trying to say here is, do not focus on vocabulary. If you think that you have a list of vocabulary, then it can make you fluent, then it's never gonna happen. Now you may be thinking that, is there any way to speak English confidently without getting stuck during the conversation? Then yes, I do have incredibly effective tips which has helped me once upon a time when I was also struggling with this issue. I was also getting stuck whenever I wanted to speak in English. So as I already mentioned that you have so many vocabulary in your mind, but the problem is most of them are passive. They are not active. So in order to activate those vocabulary, you will have to follow some steps. First of all, whatever new words you heard, you have to write them down in a piece of paper or in a notebook. But make sure that you are writing only those words which has fascinated you, or by saying this I mean which has attracted you. Because if you start writing all the words which you came across, then it would become very lengthy and it would become really very difficult for you. But if you really want to make this easy for you, then you should focus on writing only those words which has fascinated you. And I'm mentioning this to you because I really struggled with it. In the beginning, I was writing almost every single word which I came across. But now I know that I am never going to use them because some of them are really very difficult to pronounce. Some of them are not related to my day-to-day life. Some of them are really very fancy. So most of the people are never going to understand. So my motive to speak is to make others understand that this is something I want to speak. But if others are not understanding what I'm trying to say, then it is of no use. So that's why I'm telling you to choose any word consciously, whatever you have to memorize. Now, after writing down all the vocabulary, you have to write down the meaning of those words in your mother tongue along with 2 or 3 sentences. I know it's a little bit long process, but it will really help you to understand things easily. So I'm mentioning here to write 2 or 3 sentences along with that word. It will not only help you to understand the context, but it will also help you to get some kind of insight that how to use this word properly. Once you're done with it, you have to consciously revise your notebook in order to activate them in your mind. So this is the step which has really helped me to get all the words and not stuck during the conversation. There's another step which you can follow. It has its own importance when it comes to getting all the words whenever trying to speak in English. But there's one thing I would like to tell you, that if you're a complete beginner of speaking in English and you're struggling with this, that you are getting stuck while speaking in this language, then it's perfectly fine. You don't need to worry about it. It is happening to you because you are not exposed of this language. You are completely new to you. So it's perfectly okay. It's just a natural to get stuck while speaking in this language, because this is a problem which will automatically fade away once you started exposing to yourself in this language, and eventually you will be able to speak fluent English. But if you have been trying to learn English and if you have been trying to speak English for a very long time, but still you are not able to speak fluently and you are getting stuck whenever you try to speak, then I do have a solution for you. The moment you start speaking, you get stuck because words do not come to your mind properly, but you have to make them come to your mind. So what you can do to do this, first of all, you have to choose any particular topic and then read the topic until you get to know everything about the vocabulary. After reading that topic multiple times, you will become aware about the kind of vocabulary you should be using in that context and about the grammar rules. And what you have to do now, after reading it multiple times, you have to write down a paragraph about the topic. It will not only help you to reinforce all the vocabulary, but it will also help you to be confident while speaking. Once you wrote down all of your thoughts about the topic, you can talk to yourself just by standing in front of camera or standing in front of mirror. And if you're not comfortable with these two techniques, it's perfectly fine. You can talk to yourself anywhere. At first, you might not see any changes in your English, but after repeating this technique several times, you will easily be able to get words whenever you speak. You can take example of giving presentation in front of people. Obviously you are going to make a lot of mistakes and you are going to get embarrassed, but what if you prepare before performing in front of people? So first of all, you researched about your topic, that what you have to speak in front of people. After that, you can make a short notes of it, and then you are going to deliver your message in front of people. Then definitely you are going to speak confidently. So that's what you have to follow. This step will reduces the chances of getting stuck while speaking, and it will also help you not to fumble whenever you speak in English. Here are two steps you have to follow in order to overcome the problem of mind getting stuck while speaking in English. So first of all, you have to understand that vocabulary is not everything, although it has its own importance. But if you are focusing too much on memorizing a lot of vocabulary just because you think it will make you confident English speaker, then I can't assure you with it. Because this is something I would like to tell you, that please do not focus on memorizing a lot of vocabulary, rather focus on activating those vocabulary which you have already learned. There's another thing I would like to suggest you, which is write as much as you can. Especially write when you have to speak something, and if you are not able to speak, if you are not able to articulate whatever you wanted to say. These are the steps I followed when I was struggling with this issue. So it was such a big issue for me because I had nobody who could have suggested me what to do and what not to do. So I had to do everything just by myself. So these are the steps which did not only help me to get rid of this problem, but it also made me a confident English speaker. So that's all I had to say. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful and interesting. So please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.